to another weekly SaaStr Sponsor Insider webinar. We're here every Thursday with the asterisk of we took a little break post Europa, but we are back at it again, and so excited to be sharing some big updates here on the SaaStr front, and then we'll leave some time at the end for questions. I know some of the feedback is like, the webinars leading up to each of our events are always really long, but chock full of information. And so since we're about 90 days out from annual, we'll mainly talk about the AI Summit today and what that means for sponsors and partners of ours. And then, yeah, any specific questions, let us know. We will do a full kind of kickoff to SaaStr Annual. Hopefully you guys, just as a caveat, got our emails last week to, update your POCs, let us know who you want to get access to the portal. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so. But other than that, that's kind of the biggest action item now, so that we can get you guys all set up in the portal. And then we'll do a big kickoff formally for all sponsors the week after July 4th, because I know some sponsors have told us they're out for, next week, and then some people are out the week after. So we're trying to align on the timing there. That all being said, let's get into what we want to announce today. So let me share this. Sure that's working. All right, I'm gonna go full screen here. I was almost hit the wrong button. Alrighty. Well, big news, everybody. David and I are very excited today to be chatting to you guys about SaaStr AI Summit. David, I know you've been chatting to a lot of folks about AI Summit. I'm gonna get into some of what Jason posted last night and has been tweeting about AI Summit and some of the feedback from Europa. But off the bat, like, what's your take on AI Summit? Obviously, you were there for both London, last annual AI Day, which we did virtually. Obviously, this means a lot of things, but wanted to get your take on it first for AI Day, for AI Summit.
Yeah, no, great, awesome, great. Happy to be here today and talk about this. So look, I would say annual 23 is when we first started. AI became a topic, and it probably was like, I don't know, 20% of our sessions seemed to talk about AI. Even sessions that weren't about AI, people started talking about
Ended
AI.
up being about AI. Yeah.
Right? And then Europa, just a couple of weeks ago, I don't know. I mean, I think it was probably 50%. It just seemed to be like the hottest sessions were AI. And the insights that it wasn't just pure AI. It was like this intersection of AI and SaaS, and how to leverage AI for the SaaS motions and the SaaS scaling that's been going on, and how to do it better and leverage the newest technology. So I think there's been momentum building for quite some time, and people are just hungry for insights and learnings and bringing together great minds and the best businesses and the best thinkers around how to combine what it means for AI and SaaS. Where do they converge? How it's come together. I think, I've talked to so many startups where, that's what they're building today, right? Like, it's just the thing to build, and why wouldn't you at this time? So I don't know, a lot of momentum going into this. It's what everyone's hungry for. It's what people want to talk about and learn about. So it's just feels like a great opportunity. And from a sponsor side, so many sponsors have great AI offerings, AI capabilities, and just aligning that with the theme of the event is something that's a really great match. So that's what I'm hearing.
No, I think that's helpful context. I'll help share a little bit more. So, AI is not new to SaaS by any means, but to David's point, and if you guys haven't seen the blog post yet, we'll cover a lot of it here, of Jason, our CEO's announcement of the SaaStr AI Summit inside of SaaStr Annual. So no, I think I think to your point, like, we saw a lot of AI kind of come in to last year's event, almost at the final mile of, like, we kind of already had all of our speakers, and then a bunch of folks were like, well, can I come and talk about AI though? So,
right.
it was maybe 30%, as you said, and then Europe was about half, and then some of those were strictly AI companies, right? Like OpenAI, Synthesia, DeepL. Like, these are to your point. I think SaaStr's AI Summit is great because it's both, right? We'll get into kind of the sub theme of it and what that means for everyone here, but I think just at a glance, it's really great because you have companies that are going to be at SaaStr Annual speaking about how they're doing AI, OpenAI, lots of really great ones that are GitHub, right? They're all chatting about AI and how they're doing it for real. And then you have companies that are more let's say, of the traditional SaaS companies chatting about, how they've incorporated AI. So you do get both, right? You get both sides of the mix of people who are in the space building native AI things and apps and platforms, and then folks that are incorporating these things into their SaaS tools and products in the cloud, right? So no, I think it's such an interesting apex time of how this is all coming together, right? Because to your point of like, annual, we saw it very last minute kind of come in. Then we did, the virtual AI day. Obviously, that was all AI. That was a full day, right? People wanted more, and so we did about half the content at Europa AI focus right between those two buckets, and now we're going to do the AI Summit within SaaStr Annual. So it's going to be, throughout the 3 days of SaaStr Annual. You can come just for the AI part of it if you want. Obviously, we recommend going to all of it because there will be, you still need to know how to grow and fathom the rest of this and operate. We always recommend coming to the whole thing, but if you want to come for the AI part only, you can. But yeah, obviously it's we're leaning into it, right? And because it's so top of mind. And I think too, there's not a whole lot of dedicated content on how to do this for real. So I'll let this maybe play without audio in the background. Ooh, sorry, the audio played for me. Sound audio in the background. But yeah, I think part of it is like, some of this tagline, which I'll get into a little bit of like what's real, what isn't, and what will be. So kind of the inspiration and nature for the SaaStr AI Summit at Annual was like, there's a lot of, obviously you can't avoid talking about AI now, right? It's top of mind for everyone. I think I saw like Jason sent around to our team like this interview Byron Dieter did where he was like, it was this week, I think he was talking about, CNBC or something about how, or Bloomberg on how, AI is like this is the next leveling event in like SaaS and cloud and technology. Like you're either on the train or you're not. It's the next big boom, right? So, but I think there's a lot in there that's hard to distill. And so I think where we've engineered our content, how we've engineered this AI Summit in SaaStr Annual is to help everyone, including all of our sponsors, discern like what's real, what isn't, and what's coming down the line, right? Because there is so much information out there. There's a lot of people talking about this on LinkedIn, but not necessarily the people who are doing it, right? There's a lot of commentary on it. And so I think where a lot of the inspiration for the content came from is, we wanted to do this differentiator, like what's actually real, what's working. And that's where we saw a lot of traction, just the London event of like, that's how we built that content and themes, and some of our sponsors did that as well in their presentations, right? They're able to talk about, how the, both Oracle and IBM, how they've been building this obviously for years, right? They've been doing this for decades probably. So they've been doing this a long time. They know what's real and what kind of isn't, right? So they've got some good parameters to share. Then you've got folks like Yom at Hypergrowth Partners, who is, has utilized AI in marketing to this crazy degree. Not that you have to get to that level tomorrow, but he's got a lot of really great tips. If you haven't watched that one from Europa, you can watch that one. But content like this, right, is what we're going to be bringing to the annual of like, okay, he's actually doing it for real, right? Like he's a good example to learn from. Of he's helped all these great companies, right? Like I think he said Ramp, Reddit, a few others that he's helped them literally grow for real and like improve their numbers with AI. So
I would say,
I think that's, yeah.
Just to jump in, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was one of my favorite sessions at Europa. I don't get to see them all, but I got to see, and like it wasn't about AI. It was about growing your business, but it was about how,
but using it,
top in class, best in class companies, like you said, Ramp, Reddit, others are leveraging AI to radically change their go-to-market.
Right.
And I mean, the place was standing room only, and folks flowed out, and right there was the opportunity for sponsors to have, to continue that conversation, which is really what you want to do, I think, as a sponsor, which is build off the themes of the event that everyone's there to talk about. And so that's something that's going to be a big opportunity in 3 months.
Yeah, and it's not that far away. So I'm gonna try and flip to the next slide if it lets me. So yeah, to your point, this is all the AI Summit is going down during SaaStr Annual. It's at SaaStr Annual. So yes, that's why you see the same dates if there is any confusion there. It's inside of SaaStr Annual, as we say. So, but it's a full blown content. A lot of the networking, and then to our point, a lot of the sponsors will be chatting about AI. So I think it's it's graduated from a sub theme to an actual summit within SaaStr this year, which I think is actually super helpful for a lot of folks. Not that we won't have that great style of SaaStr content that's actionable to help you scale, right? There's multiple days, and we'll have a lot of that to help you round out your business. And that's why a lot of people come to SaaStr. But I do think this is important to lean into and to also, get some education around it. So we're actually being really, really picky on who we say yes to get to come speak at AI Summit. The rejections have been a little bit great. We're like, can you do workshop Wednesday instead? Because we're like full for AI Summit. So yeah, it's a little crazy. If you look at the website, you can see some of the speakers. They always try to be, super picky with we have like NVIDIA, OpenAI, like of course you're gonna have those. But yeah, anyways. So we've been super picky so that you guys can get the learnings of what's real and what's not at the AI Summit this year. And for our sponsors or maybe those thinking about sponsoring, I think to David's point, a lot of this, it calls it out here a bit. I've linked the article here. If you go on SaaStr.com, it's on our homepage. We just announced this. I think to David's point, right? Like whether you have AI in your product or not, I think it's important to help folks who are attending SaaStr Annual, because a lot of them will be there for this AI Summit, right? Is to how to monetize an AI, right? Like what can you do that plays nicely with things, right? Like do you play nicely with things like a Zapier, like an Apollo, anything like that uses AI? Do you integrate with OpenAI? Anything like that, right? I think that's important for folks to know. I think, again, from those who've been in the trenches, like the Oracles, the IBMs, the Google Clouds, that are coming and sponsoring in September and have been doing this for a long time, right? I think they're also trying to help get folks over this hump of like expectations versus reality in AI, especially as like customers or prospective customers, how it makes them more efficient. I know that's top of mind for a lot of our sponsors and partners too. And it is for the attendees, right? So I think anything you can weave all together in that of like gaining people, efficiencies. Obviously, we know budgets are tight this year, so any efficiencies you can help them gain with your product, whether it's AI or not, that's really what's going to be helpful for folks to see at SaaStr. I think too, one thing I'll call out, we saw at London that we actually didn't see as much at Annual last year, is we're starting to see AI on the actual booths. And I want to call that out because last year at SaaStr Annual, right, like to our point of how David brought it up, like a lot of the content ended up being about AI last year at SaaStr Annual. It was not really we were like, okay, we know we just have like an AI track, so we did an AI track. But that was kind of, again, it was at the growth of AI was just like starting last fall. So yeah, a lot of it was still, it creeped a lot into the content. It creeped a lot into like what people were chatting about, to the point of we had sessions that weren't about AI, that are talking about AI, and that's all fine and good. I think that's the nature of where we were not even a year ago now, right? In the landscape. And now at Europa, I did see, I would say half the booths, I won't say almost every, but I would say half the booths had some sort of AI tagline on it. Either, if their app did it natively or if they integrate with AI. A lot of folks were hyping that up, touting that out to folks. It is a good conversation starter for folks who walk by the booth. So that's something to think about there. I think any other like feedback, David, on how it's kind of merged into the physical world? Because that's one thing I noticed, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we did more than half the content on AI, but it actually was on a lot of the booths too, as well.
Yeah, I think here, there's the opportunity to really put two and two together. You know what I mean? There's an opportunity to speak to your AI capabilities relative to the AI being talked about in the content tracks. I mean, just to keep in mind, so many folks come to SaaStr because of the amazing speakers, the amazing content. It's what draws the high profile, demographics and audience that we have. It's what brings the community together. And so I think just, tying into that, embracing that, talking about your AI capabilities or how they've impacted your product, right? Some of you, have added AI into your roadmap and it's offering new capabilities to what you were doing before. And so just embracing that here, I think will make a lot more sense even than it did last year, where there was just like this focused approach will, I think, bring it together and add a lot of new opportunity for sponsors.
Yeah. I think the other thing I'll say, well, we've almost like the preference of some of the AI, again, you can talk, we creeped into last year's, we're going full bore with it now for AI Summit. The other thing I do know is like some of the folks I've mentioned, right? The Oracles, the IBM, the Google Clouds, the runways that have, a distinct AI product. I know a lot of them are thinking this year about doing activations on site that showcase their AI or their intelligence, right? All those companies have said they want to do something that showcases, some sort of tie-in back to their model, their intelligence, right? Like showing that off and like in a real world format. So yeah, I think to that point of this is a chance where the physical world will actually meet the digital world in AI, right? It's like, okay, how can we actually display how this works in a real world scenario because we're an event, right? So I think that's just an important thing to think about too as you're thinking about this. Like it's not just, and we did AI Day digitally a few months ago, but like this is an actual physical in-person thing. So it's a good opportunity to kind of bring the two worlds together of the AI digital world and the physical world by having this event, right? And it is a great area to do it. Obviously, a lot of these folks that are coming to speak are based in the SFA area, still, doing AI and artificial intelligence. So it's a good call out there on that. We talked about some of these folks that are coming. We've been super picky about saying yes to, but just a quick, brief look at some of the people who will be speaking about AI at the AI Summit within SaaStr Annual this year. They're all on, if you go to either SaaStr AI or SaaStr.com, these speakers are there. You can see them. We are announcing the agenda, I think, next week. So that will come out soon and you can see the whole thing, but you'll notice a lot of it's AI. So don't be shocked that we've told you it's, AI Summit at SaaStr. And then you're like, wow, a lot of these are AI Summit topics. It's like, yes, well, hence the announcements. But no one's surprised, right? Okay, and then I guess just one tactical thing that we'll run through if you are current sponsors, right? I know some of our current sponsors actually already have AI Summit in their contracts included. If you're like, hey, I signed super early, like I know some people signed literally before next year's event at the other event, and you're like, oh, I have an AI thing, I want to showcase, etc. Just if it's David, let David know, or Wayland or Brian, so that they can help you guys take advantage of that. If you are new here, then you'll notice the offerings in our prospectus and for AI Summit are the same as just SaaStr Annual. Because again, the whole thing's going to be woven in, right? So there is a few distinctions on the sponsor side to simplify. Like some of our folks have actual, they want to be on the AI stage. There's distinctions like that. But again, the booths are still the same as the rest of SaaStr Annual. It's just the theming and then kind of where we're placing your content, if you have content, and then how you think about activation. So a lot of it is in how you activate, not necessarily the levels, if you will. Those are all the same. It's just more in how you deploy at SaaStr Annual. So if you haven't seen this before, the other thing I'll call out is I do know we are starting to not hit, but we're starting to creep up on kind of show floor capacities because we are less than 90 days. I think when I looked on Monday, it was like 87 or so. So we're probably 84 or so. I don't know. I don't know. I don't look every day. I do look every couple of days. So I do know we're less than 90 days out from the event. So we're starting to creep on some capacities and some of these levels. So I also think too, 90 days is a sweet spot. Just as an aside, like I used to be a sponsor of SaaStr's way back in the day, as hard as that might be for some folks to believe. But I do think 90 days is a sweet spot of like, okay, if you're going to do this for real, you could do it in less time if you're motivated for sure. Like I've seen people do it in less, and it's not like booths are due yet for like another, I think, month or two. So there's definitely time on like graphics and that sort of thing. But I think to think about it, like 60 to 90 days is usually that sweet spot of like, okay, if I'm going to commit and like, I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row, meaning I know exactly what my booth graphic is going to be on the back, right? I know what I'm going to put on this monitor. Sometimes people don't think about this at the last minute, right? I know I'm going to put it on a monitor. If I'm, a super gold, I know what I want to do for an activation. I know how that either does or doesn't play into AI. I know what I want to do with my customer passes. I know what I want to do with my, 10-minute speaking session. Like, all these things, they do take time, right? And so I think that 60 to 90-day mark, which we're in now in that band, is the sweet spot for signing up for something like a SaaStr and having the right amount of time to be in all the communications that we started, right? Like we've actually just started those, so like you haven't missed anything yet. You have time to design your booths calmly. You have time to think about your content if you do a Super Bowl or up level. You have time to think about what you want to put on the monitors, right? How you want to tie in the physical space and the footprint to the digital stuff and AI. So, and then who you want to send, right? I know travel when you book at the last minute is an added expenditure. So if you want to avoid that, you can, decide who you want to send now, get the pitch down, right? Figure out what you're going to do. And a lot of people do get creative, right? So to the point of SaaStr Annual and SaaStr Europa, a lot of folks get very creative in how they're going to get traffic to their booth in particular, which does take a little bit of time. So anything you want to add there, David? I kind of rambled a little.
No, look, I think it is you definitely you don't want to do this last minute. So if you're,
You
still thinking,
can. It's been
yeah,
done.
you can, but yeah, I think now is a good time to finalize a sponsorship if you haven't yet. If you are a sponsor, you're on this call, you're in the right place, and communication, as Amelia said, is really going to be ramping up. The portal is coming out really soon, right? Amelia, did you announce a date for that yet?
For the portal, no, I think we're doing the portal next week,
Yep.
which will have like all the boot specs and stuff in it. And then we're doing, kind of the kickoff webinar after 4th of July, because that was kind of the feedback that we got.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, you're if you're here, you're ahead of the curve, and all of that's coming soon. But no, I think Amelia's right. I mean, we've had sponsors come on 2 weeks before, and it works out, but it's a lot more stress. So,
Yeah.
definitely the sooner the better.
Yeah. The sooner the better.
And content
So
will
yeah, I
be,
think
there's only so much time to do that as well. That has you know, there's a harder deadline on that. So.
yep, exactly. Okay. I know we're basically at the half
Mhm.
hour mark. Anything else you want to hit? Maybe I'll leave it on super gold.
No, I think we covered it. And I think look, let's talk more about AI Day. With Super Gold, there is that opportunity. There's not that many spots left, but there's an opportunity to get your content on AI Day, if it aligns with the theme. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it sooner than later. Let us know if you have any questions. Portal coming next week. Official kickoff right after July 4th. So yeah,
Yeah.
lots of great things to come. And yeah, I think this AI Day is going to be great. We're getting tons of interest, tons of excitement from the community. So yeah, it's going to be great.
Awesome. All right. Well, cool. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully everyone's super excited about AI Day and AI Summit at SaaStr Annual. If you have any questions, reach out to us. David, how can folks get in touch?
You could, if you want to email me, it's easy, david@saastrinc.com. And that's the way to reach me. And if you want to reach someone else at SaaStr, I will pass it along.
Yep, you can reach David. Funny enough, I'm AI at SaaStr.com.
Wow,
And
look
with
at that,
that,
AI.
I know, look at
You
that.
know,
Right on
I'm
brand.
DI. Oh, I'm not. Well, yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
good. Great.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you're excited for AI Summit at SaaStr Annual. We will see you guys next week.